I focus mostly on marriage-based immigration. So for anyone who's new to my channel, be sure to subscribe if that's something you're interested in. And today's video is gonna be about whether or not you should apply for advanced parole, which is permission to travel internationally while your green card is pending, especially if you're applying through a marriage-based family petition. So this has been my advice over the last few months, but it becomes more and more important entering a Trump presidency. So when I apply for someone's adjustment of status, their green card package, there are two applications that are optional. One of them is employment authorization, which costs an additional $260 government filing fee. The other one is advanced parole, permission to travel internationally, which costs an extra $630 government filing fee. These do not include whatever your attorney charges. We actually don't charge anything extra to file these with your adjustment of status. Whatever you want, we'll file. So one piece of advice that I like to give people is that if you need to work, apply for the employment authorization. If you want a social security card sooner, apply for the employment authorization. I wholeheartedly support applying for the EAD, the employment authorization document, which is a work permit. However, applying for advanced parole can be problematic for several reasons. Number one, it costs an extra $630, and there's no guarantee that it's going to get approved in a timely fashion. Sometimes people will get their permission to travel internationally rather quickly. In fact, it'll even be issued on your work permit sometimes, which comes pretty early in the process historically. So like 3 months after you file, you might get a combination work permit and travel authorization card. That would be an ideal situation. But sometimes the applications are separated, and this was an effort by the Biden administration to process work permits faster because those, for most people, are more important than the permission to travel internationally. So if they are decoupled and processed separately, there's a good chance that your permission to travel could come 6, sometimes 12, sometimes 14 months after you submit your green card application. And the problem with that, in addition to the higher fee, is that after 12 months, you might already be a permanent resident. Your green card may have already been approved, in which case you wasted that $630 and you never actually got permission to travel internationally. One other thing to note is that if there's an emergency and you don't have your permission to travel, you don't have your advanced parole document approved, you could always pay the $630 at that point and apply for an emergency advanced parole document. And now the most important thing. When you are granted advanced parole and you have the permission to travel in your hand, whether it's on the work permit card or they send you an actual document, which it depends, both of these situations can happen. Traveling is never guaranteed to allow you to re-enter the US safely. So the customs officer has the ultimate discretion to decide whether or not to allow you to re-enter the United States. In fact, once your advanced parole is approved, the approval notice even says that your re-entry into the United States is not guaranteed. Now, a couple caveats here. First of all, I've never personally had a client denied re-entry, but I have heard many attorneys talk about how their clients were denied re-entry, especially under Trump's last presidency. During the second 2 years of his presidency, when he decided to focus on immigration, people were actually denied re-entry into the United States. But it could actually happen at any time. It's just more likely to happen under a presidential administration who's trying to scrutinize and crack down on immigration. So if you have an advanced parole document and you need to travel now, I would try to re-enter the US before Trump is inaugurated as president. Now, you can probably still travel afterwards, but I can't guarantee it, and your re-entry is never guaranteed. So what should you do? If you are able to stick it out in the United States for the 1 or possibly even 2 years, if we see really long processing times under Trump, until you have the physical green card in your hand, that's always best practice. Don't travel until you have the green card in your hand. But if that's not viable and you need to travel, a couple things. Number one, make sure you have the advanced parole document. And number two, try to limit your travel to the extent possible. Don't go on vacations outside of the United States. Save the document for an emergency. If someone's really ill or you have to go for some urgent reason, just understand you're taking a big risk. And if you're denied re-entry, that would be a nightmare scenario where we would probably have to transfer your case to the consulate abroad in your home country, and you would have to remain outside of the United States until we are able to consular process you back in, if we are able to consular process you back in. So keep all of that in mind before you take the risk of traveling with advanced parole, especially now that we're entering a Trump administration. All right, guys, I get this a lot, so I just wanted to make a quick video on this topic. If you're interested in family-based immigration topics, be sure to subscribe. I put out several videos a week, and I will be doing so for at least the next year. If you're going through the immigration process and you need actual legal assistance, you could always schedule a consultation with me. We would love to represent you, and thank you so much for watching our video today.